D'Angelo Russell had it going, and then in crunch time minutes, you put Spencer Dinwiddie in? What's the deal, NBA family? What's going on? Happy to have everybody in here, man. Jay, it's week 21. NBA playing is right around the corner. We 60 games more into the season. We got a lot to talk about. We got a lot to get into. We're going to get into some MVP talks today. We're going to get into some news as always. We're going to talk about some scapegoats, who is to blame if things don't go the right way. But before we do all that, Jay, what's up, dog? How you doing? It's March 15th, Friday.
Yeah.
What's up?
I don't know, man. It's been a minute since we took a little hiatus. It was the All-Star break, and it's like, the calm before the storm. These playoffs is finna come, and it's gonna be a grind. I'm excited for it. Things are shaping up, and lots to talk about.
Lots to talk about, most definitely, man. And for the family out there, before we get into everything, man, make sure you come support us. Check us out on our social medias. Come join our Discord on every video. I'll be putting in the description the Discord link. So come get at us, man. Come join us. That's where we be just
Twitter too. Twitter too. I'm gonna drop the handle on here. Twitter
yes, sir.
Too, for
sure. Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Discord. Get at us, man. Just a big old hoop community. But Jay, let's go ahead and stop wasting time. Of course, besides the family out there subscribing, if you ain't subscribed, go ahead and smash that subscribe button. But besides that, Jay, let's stop wasting time and let's get into it. Let's go ahead and kick it off with the way we always kick off these recap episodes, which is news around the league, Jay. Earlier this month, we saw Karl Anthony Towns go down with a left knee lateral meniscus tear. And then earlier this week, he underwent successful surgery and will be now reevaluated in 4 weeks. Before I get your thoughts on this, Jay, just for quick context for you and everybody out there, 4 weeks would bring us roughly to April 16th, which is basically the first day of NBA playing. Good thing the Timberwolves are not in a play-in situation. But Jay, what are your thoughts on Karl Anthony Towns going down at this vital part in the season?
For me, they don't have, this extra cachet to burn, so to speak. So like they need to be hitting the playoffs like in a groove and at full strength. And this is not good.
This is not
it. This is not good for that. Right. So it's good to have to deal with adversity, see what the team looks like without him, because I think that reality is gonna come sooner rather than later, depending on how their exit is from the playoffs. But this is any hope. Like, I feel bad for that GM because he put his job on the line to cash in future value with that all those picks for Rudy Gobert to see this play out. And this is the second year in a row he's not going to get to see this play out in full strength. So I feel bad for them. To expect a dude to not play for a month and then to come back and then hold them to that standard, man, that's unfair. And they're going to take it on the chin. And I like, when you're on the freeway and you see the accident and you're like, ooh, rubbernecking, like that's where I'm at with them.
That's where you like, damn. Now you causing traffic because you look back. I'm the type of dude. I'm like, just keep going.
Yeah, this is what I waited for. This is what I waited for.
Man, that was hilarious, Jay. But honestly, when you talk about the GM and their first year, they were hurt. Like one would be hurt, the other would come back, the other would get hurt, and then they had this season where they were proving it to be dominant, right? I mean, they were top of the league, but then now it happens again. Kind of reminds me, not nearly as dominant. So people out there, don't kill me in the comments, but kind of reminds me of DeMarcus Cousins and Anthony Davis. Remember when they were in the Pelicans and they were just this dominant duo, and every time they were on the court, they had it rolling, they had it going, but it just wasn't many times that they could be on the court together, two injury-prone players. So feel bad for these Twin Towers lineups, man.
How do you bypass PG-13 and Kawhi with the never really firing on all cylinders? Like,
it's bad.
That's an annual thing for them. But,
like, you could already expect it. Like, you already expect it. But all right, Jay. Well, shoot, we could get into a little bit more about the Timberwolves later on in the show when we get into the whole scapegoat conversation. But I think it's a perfect time for us to transition to the next news. You just brought it up. Kawhi Leonard, their game actually against the Timberwolves this last Wednesday, March 13th, he left the game with back spasms. So, want to get your thoughts on that? See how you feel. Is this high worry, low worry?
No,
Where
I'm
you
gonna
at?
flip this one on you, homeboy. Like for me, the back spasms thing is kind of like I read it and it's like the only reason I think that this is a story is
Mhm.
because of the track record. And is this a precursor? Is this more of what's to come? And I already told you, I already went on record.
You
Like
did,
we went into vivid detail on me and my perspective on the Clippers. So I'm gonna leave this alone. You tell me how you feel, John, about
man.
them Clippers.
I ain't gonna lie, brother. I ain't gonna lie. The same thing we just said about the Timberwolves as far as like just talk about terrible timing. Talk about terrible timing, y'all. When they are trying to fight, and I doubt they'll get that first seed, but they're trying to fight
Yeah.
to get as high seeding as possible right now. Their best player who has injury history of once he goes down, it starts with a little injury. And that little injury becomes a little bit more
Mm-hmm.
nagging, a little bit more nagging in it. And then, I think back to the Spurs days when he had that knee injury, and everybody's saying, like, damn, like, you should have already been back from the knee injury. Even the team doctors are saying, like,
Mm-hmm.
no, like, you could already come back, but he's choosing to not come back. I'm not saying he'll do the same thing here for the
Mm-hmm.
Clippers, but what I will say is that terrible timing. I do want to give him credit. I'm not gonna say I'm not going to forget all the other years in his career, but I do want to give him credit for this year, similar to Anthony Davis, right? Like the man, Kawhi Leonard's only missed 6 games so far this season. Every single year, he's
Mm-hmm.
missing 10, 15 plus or plus. So I want to give him credit for what he's doing so far this season, but I think if the woes are going to come eventually, I think they've just hit the wall. And now for the Clippers, it's like who's going to step up? Like we all know that the pecking order of Kawhi Leonard, PG, but who's now going to step up from that bottom tier? Like the role players, are they now going to come up and take a step more and play some more vital minutes, play some more hit some more significant shots? So it's just
Bro, who's
about
supposed to step up? Like Harden is making $36 million. Norman Powell's making a hot 18. They don't want to dust off PJ Tucker, your boy. It's like, it's like, I mean, like put it this way: the Clippers are paying their squad, $200 million. There's teams out there paying their squad 130, 140. So you miss $140 million player like Kawhi Leonard, you should still be able to keep up with the Joneses. But that's just me. I think that's why you have the star, right? That's why you have the 3 stars. So
Let's see. Let's see. I mean, is Paul George ready for that 1A attention come playoffs? Because I mean, I'm not saying the Kawhi Leonard's going to be out. Like, there's no saying like, oh, he's out for playoffs or he's not out for playoffs. But just saying, this is usually where the break in the road starts to happen for Kawhi Leonard. It's one little injury and then nagging, and it goes on. So I'm a
back
little bit concerned.
spasms. I got maybe a decade. The questioning, is this like a strategic thing? Like Kawhi, like just go sit down for 5 games, bro.
Okay.
Like we'll just exaggerate the back spasms a little bit, get you some rest because you have been, putting in work this season, playing more games than your average, and so let's just give you a strategic rest right before the grind, really hits. So.
Yeah, I mean, we all have known the Clippers for ducking a lot of smoke and trying to figure out seeding. So, right, I mean, maybe they're trying to stay at that 4th seed where they play the Pelicans. Like, I don't know. Man,
yeah. Well, it's that the funny way the thing is shaking out is with Cat's injury. I feel like Minnesota's finna slide like a little bit, and the 1 and the 2 seed is all but OKC and Denver at this point, in my opinion. So really, it's like, do the Clippers do they want to dance around and try to finesse where they land at in the standings? So
I mean, we've known them to
do
do that.
that.
We've known them to do that. So
just that. So
could be very viable to happen, Jay. But let's go ahead and keep it pushing, Jay. Let's get to some MVP talks, Jay. We got to talk about it at this point. I feel like every NBA season, if it's too early in the season and you give an MVP take, they're like, oh, it's too early. If it's midway through the season, they sometimes might say it's still too early. But now, Jay, we're more than 60 games into the season, and I got to know, who's your MVP? Here's my dialogue. I got a little dialogue for this, Jay. All right. So, in my opinion, it's a 5-man race, which is super dope. I ain't gonna lie. Like
That's a lot.
I feel like it hasn't been a 5-man race in a long time. I feel like every single year it's usually 2 to 3-man race. I think that there's 5 players who can genuinely get the MVP, and I wouldn't be mind blown about it.
Talk to me. I hope you get this right. I want to hear who number 5 is.
Them 5. This is in no order. Them 5 being Luka, Jokic, Tatum, Giannis, and the real MVP, which is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Now let me tell you why. Let me tell you why real quick, Jay.
Hold on. Tatum number 5. Please expound.
No. That was not me giving them in order. I'm just saying.
I know you said you didn't give them in order. Well, first off, it's the 2-man race, but like Tatum, I don't want to digress. You was ready to defend Shai. You was ready to defend Shai.
And I'll get to that. For me to back Jason Tatum, I'm not saying I have Jason Tatum winning. I'll be clear. I'll be honest right now. I have SGA winning. I'll get into reasons right now in a second. But just to respond to that comment, yo, come on, Jay. We're not going to act like the Celtics aren't not just the best team in the league and he's not the best player on the best team in the league. He has to get some type of MVP consideration. The best player on the best team in the league doesn't get no MVP consideration.
He is the best player on the best team. But no, that does not, again, maybe we can call it into favoritism or like this is the way it's always been. But to me, there's like tiers to this. And he, like, when we're going to say consideration, I'm not going to put number 5 in there. Like some years it might be the consideration ends at 3. Sometimes the consideration might end at 7. But to me, there's a hard cutoff at number 4, right? It's Giannis and it's Luka, and as 3 and 4, in my opinion. And that's just where it is. And that line between 4 and 5 is too big to say top 5. But that's just, I mean, semantics,
at the end of the day, like how you said, SBC is all subjective. And what I got, what I think is that I think that the best player on the best team with the best record absolutely at least deserves consideration in my top 5. Now, is it mainly a 2-man race? It is mainly a 2-man race. And I will go ahead and get into who I got for MVP. And like I said, I think it's Shai for these reasons. I mean, right now, the man is averaging 31 points per game, which is second in the league right now. He's averaging 2.1 steals, which is first in the league right now. 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 54% from the field, 37% from the 3-point line. But don't let that number fool you. Man only takes about 3 3-pointers per game. But that's on the season, okay? I'm going to talk about his post-All-Star break numbers, okay, Jay? Because this is where things get tricky, and it's kind of hard to not give Shai the MVP. Since post-All-Star, he's been taking at least 5 3-pointers per game, shooting it at an even better 40% from the 3-point line. Mind you, he's still shooting his 91% from the free throw line post-All-Star break. Top of the league in field goal percentages, as always. Right now, shooting 53% from the field post-All-Star break. So basically, post All-Star, he's posting 50, 40, 90 numbers. Absolutely insane. But let's get into some more stats, right? Shai leads the league in total win shares. Jokic is second, Luka's third, Giannis is fourth, Sabonis is fifth, and then Tatum ends up being eighth. Some more stats we can get into. I talked about the leading the league in steals at 2.1. Now these numbers are not just empty numbers though, Jay, because Oklahoma City Thunder is a top 5 defensive rating team in the league. So he is playing a big part and leading the league in steals for a team that is a good defensive team. Also, a crazy stat that I found online about SGA. When SGA gets a steal, Jay, Oklahoma City Thunder on that next possession has an offensive rating of 147 in that next possession, which is just absolutely insane. Which means what tells me is that when he gets that steal, he's converting on the other end. It's turning into 2 points on the other end. And then just to get away from the stats, for some people out there that aren't all about the stats and just think eye test matters a lot more. We can get into that when we talk about most valuable player, Jay. That's what the MVP is, right? Most valuable player. There's no way that the Oklahoma City Thunder are here where they are, which is tied for the best record in the league, without the value add that Shai has brought to this team. And I just cannot say that for any other 5 of, in my opinion, I mean, the 4 other candidates, in my opinion. There's no way that that team is where they are without the value add that Shea has gave them. Also, relative to preseason expectations, Jay, I was doing some research on this. The Thunder's over under on their wins preseason was 44 wins. Right now, they're currently tied for the number 1 seed with 46 wins, and there's about 10 to 15 games left still in the season. There's no holes in his game. He can attack and get to the hoop on literally anybody. He leads the NBA in drives per game. He can shoot, whether it be midi, whether it be a three-pointer. He can play make for others. He understands the game within the game. So check this out, Jay. This is the last thing I'll say. When you take everything into account, when you take stats, you take impact, you take storyline, it has to go to Shea. And I don't. And also, last thing I'll say. Actually, I said the last one thing was the last, but this is the last thing. I think also, like, and you tell me if I'm wrong here, but I think the MVP, like, you gotta want it, bro. You gotta care about this thing. I think you gotta care about not, you don't gotta care about MVP more than winning, but you gotta show that you give, excuse my French, two shits about it. And I just feel like Jokic doesn't. Like, and I take offense to that as someone who's so passionate about the game of basketball. Like, bro, what do you mean? What do you mean you're watching horses on your phone before an NBA practice sitting next to Jamal Murray? Like, I'm not saying NBA players can't have side hobbies. By all means, you guys have all the side hobbies in the world. But in my opinion, basketball needs to be your one thing that consumes you. Like, you got to be your fire. And I see that in Shea, and I don't see that in Jokic. I feel like Mans is in a cruise control mode, which I understand. Bro just won a championship. Bro just ran through the league. So sometimes maybe like, kind of like how Trae Young said a couple of years ago, it's like, I was just in the Eastern Conference Finals. Like, how can I get turned up for a game just in mid-January? But to me, that's the difference between the greats and the goods and the greats. The greats, they're going to give it to you, even if they've won a championship, even if, whatever they've been through. I just don't think Jokic wants it as bad as Shea.
Okay. Great stuff. I feel your energy. You almost convinced me. You almost did. You almost did. The first thing I want to expand on was one of your last points,
okay,
which I don't think is fair. I think that Jokic definitely cares, and he cares based off of his like his proof that I see that he cares is his production. I like the numbers, where the team is at with their record, when he's arguing over a call, when he's taking advantage of every possession. Like when he says he doesn't care about an award, I truly believe him with the words coming out of his mouth. And again, maybe this is my decade and a half on you, but it's work-life balance, bro. It's work-life balance. And it's the things that he can't control, right? So if you want the MVP, you blood, sweat, and tears, and you bleed for that MVP, and then you get screwed becomes some sort of voting bias or voter fatigue, right? Because he's been in this running for about 4 or 5 years now. And the voters may just say, we're tired of voting for Jokic. If he's emotionally invested in that and he's over here talking about it, bleeding for it so John can see it, like, that's emotionally draining, especially when you don't come up with it. Like, all he can control is putting up the numbers. And like he tells me how much he lives and breathes and dies this shit when he has the body transformation that he had. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, chubby boy out here, like, just getting buckets. And like, he puts in work. They grind him on defense too. Like, they try to attack him. Mm-hmm. But to answer your question, and you spat out a lot of stats and a lot of good stuff on SGA. Like, man, I love him. But when I have to play devil's advocate, I'm going against him because he is the best. I want to say he's the best guard in the league right now. The others in consideration, I would say, are Halliburton, Steph, and Ant. And he's got the best crew around him. And not only that, his ability to draw a foul and get anywhere on the paint that he wants to get is second to none right now. But the rest of that team is so stacked, like, that I'm not going to say they wouldn't fall off a map, if he wasn't on the roster this
You
year.
talking about Shea right now?
Yeah, like they definitely no, hold on. Time out. They would be
A play-in
the
team.
9th or 10th seed,
a play-in
right?
team.
Like, yeah, they'd be a play-in team.
Except they're the number one seed.
I'm not out here. I'm not out here to disrespect SGA. I'm out here to advocate for Jokic right now.
Okay.
That's not what this is. This is not shooting slander on
I feel you, brother. I feel
because he's my guy right now. But like when you look at the rebounds is one thing. Like you have to have secondary rim protection when you're dealing with Jokic. Jokic commands a certain lineup or we're just going to murder you.
Yeah.
Like I'm eliminating 6 playoffs teams in the West just because Jokic is never going to get hurt. He's going to touch the ball in the paint, and whether he's the one to put up the bucket or to find the assist is going through him. So requiring a team to have secondary rim protection, to have pristine closeouts and defensive rotations, the way his rebounding doubles Shea. Now, again, I'm getting to a positional thing where it's like, this isn't even Shea versus Jokic anymore. This is the top big man in the game versus the top lead guard in the game. Yeah. And I'm going to choose the top big man regardless of whose face or whose stats or what team they play for. So closing out possessions, creating possessions with his 14, 15, how many rebounds a game is he averaging? What is that? 12.3? Yeah, 12.3 rebounds per game. His assist to usage ratio, I was looking at some of these advanced stats and how many times he's creating buckets and the replacement level. So like when I look at Jokic and then I say, what kind of guard could he get it done with? I'm almost looking at it like Jokic and Murray versus SGA and Chet. If you had to replace Chet with a mediocre big man, how far do they get? Thunder are stacked and very uniquely built. Like when you compare Jokic, Aaron Gordon and Murray are very talented, but I could go grind and try to replace those guys, and I could argue that Denver would find a different way to win. It would look a little different, but because Jokic is the tip of the spear. Go ahead, please.
I'm out. Hold on. Please, I need to make sure I understood that. You're saying you could go find other players like Jamal Murray and the rest? Is that what you just said?
I'm saying that replacement level players. I'm saying like who would suffer more if Chet was replaced with Daniel Gafford or if Jamal Murray was replaced with Terry Rozier? Replacement level players.
So if Terry Rozier went to the Nuggets instead of Jamal Murray, right?
Yeah. Like you swapped out Jamal Murray for Terry Rozier.
And then who's the other one?
And then swapped out Chet for Daniel Gafford. Good players, right?
The Thunder
would be players.
I think the Thunder would be hurt more, in my opinion. Bro, no, go ahead.
Yeah. And you know what? Maybe he's not even a good one. Maybe Kelly Olynyk instead because of Chet's stretching the floor. What I'm saying is the replacement level on Jokic versus Shea, like what he does, you can't replicate it. So if Jokic is so good that he can deal, like he can lift the team higher. Granted, Jamal Murray's a star. They would have had real issues trying to win the title without him. And they wouldn't have really.
Yes, they would.
But I argue it's not just take Jamal Murray off the team. It's like that's $35 million. If you downgraded him, how far would the Nuggets make it? That's my point. And I'm saying that the Thunder wouldn't even have, like, they're on the map now. The difference between last year and this year, it's Jay Will. It's Chet. Chet got nothing to do with that.
All right. No, you're right. Okay, you're right. I'll give you. It's not fully Chet, but I think the biggest reason is Shea.
No. I mean,
he's gotten so much better, brother. So much
to better. Last year.
Yeah. Yes.
To last year.
Yes.
Like
he went from not being an all-star starter to being an all-star starter. He went from not even being thought about legit MVP considerations to this is a 2-man race between Shea and Jokic.
Hold on.
So let me get this straight then. Let me get this straight. So the point that I think that you're trying to make is that Jokic has more of a value add to the Nuggets.
He is a more unique, unicorn, special, like whatever.
But he's only a unicorn because God blessed him with being hella tall. Like I'm sure if Shea was
stop.
He's a unicorn, Jay. He's a unicorn.
Then that means there's like 50 unicorns in the league because they're 7 feet tall.
No. Listen, he has the ability to pass. He has the ability to shoot. He has all those unicorn abilities. But he can do everything that Shea can do, except God blessed him to be taller. Shea can do everything that Jokic can do. He's just not freaking 6'10" or 6'11" or whatever. No, come on, Jay.
No, that's Jokic put the work in,
and so did Shea.
That's reps. That's work that's skill.
Like you know how hard you hoop. You know how hard it is for a smaller player to be as good as a taller player in basketball. You got to put in work. You got to really have. So a lot of the times, Jay, Jokic just puts his shoulder into somebody that's smaller than him, and he just does a little post hook. I'm sure he's worked on that post hook, but I could guarantee to you, it takes a lot more skill and hard work for SGA to go out there work on. Off the dribble pull-ups, off the dribble getting to the hoops. Like he had to put in that work too, though. Like I just can't get with the statement that like that Jokic has more of a value at. I think that Nuggets team would continue to be good. Like I generally think this Thunder team would be a play-in team without Shea, and except they're the number 1 seed and going toe to toe with Jokic.
Yeah. So I guess we're talking about the same thing in different facets. And what I mean by that is because Jokic is 7 feet tall and he can do all these things that he put work in. God's blessings to me are your ability to have a 40-inch vert, to like have that burst, them boosters, like that's athleticism. That's quick twitch stuff. He got none of that. And for him to go in there with nothing but hand-eye coordination and transforming your body just so you can run up and down the court for 35 minutes a game. Like, and then to go back to your point, SGA, I'm looking at his numbers from last year to this year. Damn near the same, one and what? The thing is, the team is better around him. The chemistry, the coach, J-Dub leveling up. He went from year 1 to year 2. The rest of the team is prime. And that's why when I go at SGA, it's like he's a step above right now, Steph and Halliburton. But if the rest of the team around the Pacers and the Warriors were ready, I'm not so sure that I would put SGA in front of Steph and Halliburton. It's because the team is right. Do you know how ugly a situation can get when the team starts to deteriorate? You start seeing 2.5 people on you all the time. Like you've carried bum squad before, bro. I know because I was the bum on your team the last time we hooped.
Never.
I know you know what I'm getting at, bro. Like, come on, man.
The attention is different. I hear what you're saying. The attention he's going to be seen is different. But I mean, you could say the same thing for remember when Jamal Murray was out with that ACL injury. I mean, Jokic was struggling at that 5th seed, and then the next year Jamal Murray came back. Boom,
that is the truth. But I feel like that's arguing for my point because, like, watching him, like when I saw the Warriors, the year the Warriors won the championship, that was when the Nuggets had like Will Barton, Bones Highland, and that bum squad, and I was watching him kill the Warriors, but because the Warriors won that series, and I think it was like it was either 4-2 or 4-1. But I saw Jokic. This was the year before everybody else knew. I was like, dude,
he's that guy.
Draymond has no chance to stop him once they get Jamal, and then they got Aaron Gordon and KCP, and it was a wrap. But all I'm saying is, big banks takes little bank. Jokic, you're right, because he's 7 feet tall, is afforded advantages that guards don't. And but the skill and the efficiency, bro, he doesn't he doesn't make bad decisions at all because he gets to sit here and touch the ball at the free throw line extended and make a decision based off of what you guys want to give him. And it's just it's nasty. But the replacement level to me is the reason I'm going with Jokic. So
okay. No, I know. I mean, I feel it. I think this is like how I started it by saying it's a 5-man race in my mind, a 5-man consideration race, but it's really a 2-man race between those two. There's really, I feel like, no wrong choices. I feel like if you like Shea, you like. Well, I'm not even gonna say if you like Shea because I know I talk to you all the time. I know you love watching Shea.
I love.
So it's not that you don't like Shea, but it's just you're arguing more for Jokic. I'm arguing more for Shea. It could really go both ways, which is it makes sense as to why the Oklahoma City Thunder is the number 1 seed and the Thunder is the number 2 seed with the same exact record. So but yeah, Jay. Right, yeah, I'm right there with you, Jay. Well, actually, I'm not right there with you, but what I will say is great MVP race. You can't go wrong. Shea, Jokic, but hopefully Shea wins it, man. I'm maybe I'm a little bit on the banter of voters fatigue. You know, I'm tired of fans. Y'all let us know, or not even fans, family, bro. Y'all let us know in the comment section down below. You got Jokic, you got Shea. Like, honestly, I really want to know and give me maybe a reason as to why, because there's a lot of reasons both ways. But Jay, do you have anything else you want to add to this MVP debate, or you want to move on here?
No, I just like to give credit to the top folks in the game doing it. The voting, who actually wins, I could care less about. I just recognition and the new kids on the block. Like I said, Shea's just out here just killing the league right now. He's a bucket every night. So
yeah, and just to show some love to my guy, Luka. I feel like he could be up there, but the record wise, it's just it's tough.
Yeah.
So can't really compare him with Jokic and Shea. But all right, Jay, let's keep it pushing. Let's get to our scapegoat segment, Jay. Shout out you. It was a great idea from you. I have, as you know, I have an ongoing segments list. This was newly added to there, so thank you, Jay. Love the segment. And basically for the listeners out there, for the family out there, this is the way we're gonna do it. I have 3 teams, and Jay has 3 teams, and we just chose these teams like prior to the episode. And let's say that whatever team, like Team X or Team Y, doesn't reach their full potential or doesn't go where they where they were expected to go, who is to blame? Who is going to be the scapegoat? So that's what we're going to go ahead and get into. Jay, let's do a little bit back and forth. So I don't know, you want to go first? You want me to go first? And then we can just.
I do. Let me add to that a little bit, because it's like there's a lot of predetermined stuff out there. It's like, so when I say, if I tell you the Suns have a second round exit, it's like people are already going to have their preconceived notions about who's to blame. So it's like, and then what actually happens in the playoffs is going to have something to do with it. But you know, we want to have a little healthy back and forth about like what's the chatter, where people, you know, pointing fingers at, and so actually I'm gonna start out with one of my teams, and I want you to guess who I think the scapegoat is on mine. So like, and I'm gonna keep it simple for you. Who do you think the scapegoat's going to be on Minnesota when they underachieve this year?
Karl-Anthony Towns.
Yes, and that was my vote too. Like, this one, it might be, who's the GM over there? Who pulled the trigger on that? I forget the dude's name.
All I know is A-Rod's over there. That's all I know. That's all I know.
Yeah, the guy who pulled the trigger on the Gobert shit. I should have looked that one up. But long story short,
I'll figure it out while you
Jaden McDaniels is in line for about an $18 million raise next year. Ant's going to be in line for about
Tim Conley.
Tim Conley. Yep, that was the one. He came from Denver. From Denver. And then and Ant's getting his max extension kick in, and then Karl-Anthony Towns gets another $13 million. But if they lose, let's say Gobert gets played off the court, he's 30 something and he's only got 2 years left. And if they trade him, they're conceding the fact that this was a failure, and then they're getting 20 cents on the dollar. So he's not an option. they ain't gonna blame Ant. They're gonna do everything that they can do to keep him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and then could they fire the coach? They're competing for the number one seed the majority of the year.
Yeah.
Like this one's an easy one. It's a layup, and everybody's already smelling it. You know, it's gonna be Cat, and I'm curious to see who the suitors are gonna be. But it's like there's almost no scenario in which they lose in the second round.
Yeah.
And he's not to blame.
No,
So,
I'm right there with you, Jay. And I feel like also ever since like the emergence of Anthony Edwards, and because the league is so like, what have you done for me lately? They'll just so easily forget about what Cat has done for that team and all that he has brought for them, that it's just like, all right, well, we're not getting rid of Rudy because we're not going to lose out like that. Anthony Edwards is our guy, so Karl Anthony Towns, you're the only one left to blame. So I'm right there with you, Jay. I like that. Karl Anthony Towns for the Timberwolves. All right, Jay, for my first team, the Nuggets. Okay, let's do the same thing. Who do you think that I have as a scapegoat, or I guess who would you put as a scapegoat?
That was a tricky one. And you threw that at me, and then I was like, oh, that's a good one, because I think that they were like smooth sailing. Like they built up so much goodwill from last year's championship. Like they'd be like, oh no, let's just ride with it again. But if I had to pick one, I'd pick Michael Porter Jr. on that ugly ass contract that he got.
Okay, all right. Is it like play wise, or like just a contract, or like for what
play? Like pay versus production.
Okay.
Like Michael Porter Jr. makes, I don't know if you know this, he makes $33 million.
Yeah, he makes a lot of money.
And it's like, if you honestly replaced him with Duncan Robinson, like how much, like he's obviously a better player than Duncan Robinson, right? Obviously, right?
Within the system. I hear what you're saying.
But if you replaced him and then maybe gave more minutes to like Peyton Watson or Christian Braun, depending on the situation, like how much is the team really regressing? But this was your pick, so I'm gonna leave that. You let me talk too long. You need to just
brother. I know you're talking too long. Here's what I got. I think the scapegoat, and it might sound crazy because he's not that big of, he's not a highly paid player, but I'm looking at this basketball wise, is Christian Braun. Look, check this out, man. So when Bruce Brown left, and deservingly so, Bruce Brown went to go get a bag, probably biggest payday of his life. Can't even blame him for it. He went to go get a bag, been traded after, whatever. That's not what we're going to get into now. But Bruce Brown last year for the Nuggets averaged 12 points per game, 5 rebounds on almost 50% from the field. Christian Braun was supposed to be the Bruce Brown replacement. And I was saying this all offseason. I was like, the people are going to realize just how much Bruce Brown meant to that team. When Mikal Bridges went from the Suns to the Nets, I think that he officially went from not being a role player to being like a star, or like the star on the team, right? So I couldn't consider him a role player, because when Mikal Bridges was on the Suns, I said Mikal Bridges was the best role player in the league. And then Bruce Brown started performing so well back from his Nets days, and then also on the Denver Nuggets. Like Bruce Brown last year literally did everything for the Nuggets. Go back and watch those games. There was times when he was the point guard and he's running the pick and roll with Jokic or whatnot, but there's also times where he's the screener and the roller on that pick and roll, and he's guarding other teams' big man, and he's like 6'6", but he was just amazing on perimeter defense, amazing inside. He could shoot the ball, spot up, he could bring the ball up court, he could be the roll man, he could literally do everything for them. And everyone kept talking about, oh no, Christian Braun is going to step up. Christian Braun is going to step up. And I don't even mean to hate on him. I'm not trying to hate on him. You know, I know he was doing his thing, but what I kept telling people is I was like, you're putting way too much expectations on a second-year player. You're asking a second-year player to literally fill in the shoes of the best role player in the entire NBA. At that point, he was the best role player in the entire NBA. So I kept saying, I was like, you guys are slipping up, man. You guys aren't really watching the games. Look at how much Bruce Brown does comparatively to what Christian Brown's going to have to fill. He's not going to be able to do all that. And come to find out, he's been solid, but the man hasn't scored more than 14 points ever since November 17th. So as far as like production wise, he hasn't been nearly what Bruce Brown was bringing to them. He's right now, Christian Braun is averaging, I believe, 6 points per game, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 45% from the field. So to me, not only was Bruce Brown having better averages, but he was also just having a better impact and better day in and day out role. And I think that the Nuggets are now starting to realize just how much. Well, no, actually, I'm not even going to say starting to realize. I'll take that back. I'm saying if it goes downhill and if they don't win a championship. So that's what I'll say. If it goes downhill, they don't win a championship, they'll realize just how much they're missing Bruce. So I don't know if you want to call the scapegoat not having Bruce, or if you want to call the scapegoat Christian Braun, but that's the way I look at it.
Okay. So I was trying to improvise on the fly here.
Mm-hmm.
And I was pulling up as you were talking to me. Okay. I look at the net difference of what they lost with Bruce Brown. And then I was like, okay, yeah, Christian Braun was the one that they dubbed the guy that if Bruce Brown leaves. You're right. That's where they went at in the offseason. But when I looked at like I feel like they piece parted it between Christian Braun, Reggie Jackson, and Peyton Watson.
Okay.
And Peyton Watson's the one who's been jumping off the screen defensively to me for the Nuggets lately. Like he's been checking a few dudes. I'd have to go look back at it. I didn't. I forgot who it was. I don't know if it was the Clippers or whoever. It was KD. I don't know. He was slapping somebody around defensively with some blocks. Like he was just he was doing it. And so then I just pulled up Peyton Watson and Bruce Brown's stats last year versus Peyton Watson's stats this year on StatHead. And the numbers are pretty one and what. Now, offensively, you can't compare the two. Bruce Brown, his unique value is, right, he's a roll man. He's a facilitator, can run a little bit of pick and roll, like a jack of all trades, but then a plus defender, right? And so, like, you can't replace him with one man. Like, and he's a closing five guy, right? So, but my question, the reason you can't put it on Christian Braun and his small contract and low expectations. I think that they're gonna piece part that. If they need some offense and Christian Braun ain't it, put in Reggie Jackson. If they need some defense, some versatility, they're gonna put in Peyton Watson and kind of play it by ear. And hopefully Peyton Watson or Christian Braun can grow into that role on a more permanent basis. So if they shit on Braun, like going in another direction ain't gonna really make him a scapegoat.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. I like that. All right, Jay, who's your next team?
Clippers.
Talk to me.
No, you tell me.
You want me to guess?
Stands out.
Yeah. Honestly, just to stay on the storyline that we were in earlier, Kawhi Leonard's nagging injury starting at the worst time. If they don't make it, it's got to be on Kawhi Leonard, best player. If they don't make it, through injuries.
What's that?
I guess if they don't make it through injuries, right? Because I mean, Kawhi Leonard's not there.
So here's why I push back on that one.
Okay.
They just gave him that contract extension. Did you know that? Like
I don't.
Okay, so they gave him. So it was really weird because you know how him and PG-13 they signed together.
Yeah.
But right before the season started, or maybe a month ago, somewhere in the last 2 months, they gave Kawhi 150 large for the next 3 years after this year.
Okay.
Right. So I don't know if it's that new stadium or what, but long story short, after this year, he's got 3 for 150 coming his way. So no matter how they feel,
it ain't going to
him. Like the ink dried on that one. So this one's a little sticky, bro. And actually, I don't even have one. I didn't even put too much thought in it. I'm honest. I was like, the Clippers, we'll just see where this conversation goes. But Paul George is up for an extension, and anything less than what Kawhi got is going to be disrespectful. So I don't think there's a preconceived scapegoat in this. This one's going to have a lot to do with how does Harden react when cheeks get tight, and we know his track record, and his playoff P.
Or pandemic P. Which one is
or pandemic P? You know
which one is it?
So this one's a little tricky. It's actually going to be like a kind of like must see TV because personally, I think they're a second round and exit, bro.
Depends.
Actually, let's get your updated perspective on that? Because a month ago you was
high. I was high on them.
Are you still? Are you still?
It really depends who they play. I ain't gonna lie, right? Like that is a huge determining factor because I mean, right now they have the Pelicans. I would have them beating the Pelicans, to be honest with you, but I don't know.
Their expectations are like you got to get past the second round, right? Like what's a wait? What? Hold on. Define a failure for the Clippers and their $200 million payroll. Please define expectations for me.
Honestly, you got me thinking. I would say failure is not reaching the Western Conference Finals, to be honest. I mean, look at this team. Look at how long you've been. Look how long you've been together.
So a second round exit. If they win one round and then get bounced in the second round, we can call this year a failure.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I agree with you. But then the thing is they get the Pels in the first round. Okay, let's say they mop them, which isn't a given, but let's just say that they do.
Hopefully.
That means the second round, they get in the Thunder or the Nuggets, or maybe a lucky Timberwolves, maybe, but they're not getting the Timberwolves because them or the Timberwolves, one of them has to get the 1 seed, and that's not happening.
So look, I don't feel comfortable with damn near nobody in the rest of the league against the Nuggets, but against the Thunder, I ain't gonna lie, Jay.
Maybe.
I know they've been playing great, but they literally almost have no playoff experience. And the game, and I don't mean to sound like a broken track record, but Jay, the game is played differently in the playoffs, and it's about a bucket, and you have players on that team that just you can run down the line that can go get a bucket, whether it's a 2, whether it's a 3, whether it's getting to the free throw line, whether it's exposing Chet. So that's why I want to say, unless you get to the Western Conference Finals,
who's gonna expose Chet?
Nigga, Zubac.
What?
Bro, Jay.
What?
Jay. If
Zubac is going to do that to Chet, then what the hell is Jokic going to do to him?
Of course. But what? Of course.
But no, we're not talking about. No. We're not going to digress right now. Tell me Zubac blasting Chet. That is not.
Bro, he's putting the shoulder in his chest, and Chet is moving, and then you're going to have to bring a double team. And
I agree.
What happens when you bring a double team?
Zubac ain't built like that, bro. He's not going to like his great game is going to be 16-6.
Bro, who just had a 31-point night? 31 rebound. Bro, Yusuf Nurkic had 31 rebounds against Oklahoma City Thunder and Chet the other night. You don't think Zoo is gonna even be more of a bone bruiser against Chet, who needs to put on more lbs? I just think my theory of not a logic or whatever. My theory I'm looking at it is just I'm not saying Zubac is gonna be like Jokic and kill him with his passing, but I think that he's capable enough of putting a shoulder into Chet. Double comes. When the double comes, I just gotta swing it to the open man.
That might happen less than 3 times in the game, but they are not going to be disciplined enough, nor is Zubac skilled enough for them to just say, Chet is fish food. He's too light in the ass. Let's go milk Zubac for 25 and 16.
Second chance points.
Not.
What about second chance
I hear you, but I'm gonna give Mark Daigneault the Thunder as a whole because they are small, and I think that lack of size is going to be their downfall in the end, but it's not going to be their downfall against the Clippers. We'll see that lack of size be a downfall against whoever comes out of the East and the Nuggets, but nobody else's size is gonna take them. Even in the non-Chet minutes, they're still not gonna. The Clippers are not capable of punking them. Maybe even Minnesota, but not the Clippers.
Okay.
So you're gonna have to stand on that one. We got it on recording.
Yeah.
So we'll come back to that one.
We'll come back to that. All right, Jay. Here's my next team, Jay. I'm pretty excited to say this one. I don't have too many numbers on this, but the numbers that I do have speak volume. It's the Celtics. And I think if they don't go where they're supposed to go, and in my opinion, it's to win the championship. I mean, how many more times are you supposed to have deep playoff runs without winning the championship? So you have to win a championship. That's what you have to do.
Anything less than that is a failure.
Anything less than that is a failure. Just the same way I'm looking at the Nuggets. Anything less than a championship is a failure. So for the Celtics, if they don't come through and they don't do what they're supposed to do, I'm blaming none other than Jason Tatum in the clutch. Yes, he's the best player on the best team, but Jay, check out this stat real quick. Jason Tatum is shooting 32% from the field in clutch time. Among 27 players who have at least taken 45 shots or more, who at least have 45 shots in clutch time this season, Tatum ranks absolute last in field goal percentage.
So you're putting your money. So we don't know the future, so we can't assume that his scapegoat is that's going to be the reason. But you're making a educated guess from what you've seen that if they lose, it'll probably be because he's coming up short in the biggest moments.
Yep, because they're not finna mollywop nobody in the finals. So I think it's gonna come close. It's gonna be a clutch time game every single time, and he's gonna not perform like how he has been. And this isn't just this year, Jay. Literally, almost every single year in his career, he has been bottom tier in the league in field goal percentage and clutch time.
Question.
What's up?
This year, he's up for that $300 million extension, like this summer, right? So, in order to be a scapegoat, I would assume that it's going to have to like redirect what the decision-making process, who's going to take all the blame. And I guess we could talk about the scapegoat from a fan's point of view versus when they get in that boom room, like who are they going to blame? The decision makers, I mean.
Well, that's different though. And you know, like we looking at it one way. They got millions and millions of dollars invested in this, so they're looking at it another way. So it's like,
so he's going to get paid regardless of like if he comes up short in a game 7, like he's still getting that 300.
Still getting he's their guy. They're not letting him walk.
Okay. So from a fan's point of view, yeah, I could see that. I could see because Tatum has the expectations to be the star.
Yes.
And to me, again, I gotta get it out there. He's a top 10 player in the league, but I'm not sure he'll ever be a top 5 player. Like the guys that age out of it, there's going to be some young bucks behind him like SGA, if SGA isn't already in front of him, right? And Ants on his way. Like, so when I look at him, I'm like, But from the fans' point of view and their expectations of him, he might be the punching bag. But if I had to say who the scapegoat's going to be, it's going to be
JB.
I'm not even going to say it. Stop it! He's killing right now.
You know what's crazy?
Killing right now.
You know what's so you're talking about Jaylen Brown, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So you know what's crazy for the family out there. Jay said this about like. Honestly, it might have been damn near close to a year or so ago, but it was a minute ago. He's talking about how Jaylen Brown is so overpaid and just watch how it's going to play now. And it has panned out damn near the exact way on point that Jay has said it. But regardless of that, Jay, I just think that like, I mean, these teams, when they're so deeply, heavily invested, especially financially into a player, like they'll look the other way. Like you literally just said it right now. Earlier, I believe it was about Anthony Edwards. You were saying like, even if Anthony Edwards like misses his literally every shot in every single playoff series and they get knocked out in the first round, they're still not going to blame Anthony Edwards. Yeah. And it's the same way I feel with both Tatum and Brown. Like they'll say Peyton Pritchard, what the heck, before they get on Brown or Tatum, to be honest, or they'll blame Kristaps, to be honest.
If Kristaps misses, if they get if they're missing him as they get booted from the playoffs, it'll be an issue.
Yeah.
Drew Holiday, how his postseason performance is big because he's gonna opt out, bro. He's gonna opt out and he's gonna ask for 50 large. Like
50
yeah, he is. And then he's gonna say, if you don't give it to me, I'm gonna go to the Pistons. That's what he's gonna say. I'm telling you.
I'd be sick if he goes to the Pistons.
Yeah. Who got up
Jay,
next?
Who you got? I think we both got one more team. Who you got? 'Cause, 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 'cause,
I'm gonna do the Suns. Tell me who's to blame, bro.
Bradley Beal. If they don't go where they're supposed to go, I think it's Bradley
Yeah.
Beal. And it's because, and I don't want to get into too much as your team, but I think that they came into the season thinking, all right, we're going to build this team with this top heavy roster. And one of those guys just has not been available. So like they built their team one way and they don't even have it.
This one's my favorite one because it gets no burn, right? Like it's actually the most boring, but it like because I know what's finna happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's not interesting, but it's like my rubbernecking on the side of the road. I got my little popcorn and I'm just watching. It's like when he is to blame because of a back or a hamstring or whatever, and the misappropriation of funds going on over there, like he's just getting paid way too much.
Yes.
And they blame him. What can you do about it?
Nothing. You got to just say, please just try to get healthy for next season.
You can't like, I mean, like I did a little excerpt on my little pod. Like you can't trade him. Like that trade required that no trade didn't refresh. It didn't like go away.
Yeah.
So like hey, you want to go to we want to send you to Minnesota. Hey, we want to send you to, it's like, is it Miami? Is it LA?
Then nope.
I'm
good.
That's exactly what he's gonna say, right? Everybody's gonna be blasting him.
So he's gonna be like, LOL, no thanks.
And the world ain't ready to talk about trading KD. The world ain't ready to talk about trading Book.
Yeah.
Right. So then who's next up? Yeah, boy.
D. Bradley Beal.
No. Your boy from LA. He's next up. The coach.
Oh, okay.
The whipping boy.
Frank?
Get
his ass out of here. Get his ass out of here.
Like he's personally to blame
for
procuring Bradley Beal. Like he's personally blamed for that no trade clause. Come on, man.
No, that's how I go. That's one thing I'll be feeling so bad about coaches. Like coaches, like would damn near just get the blame before anything, and only because like just the players is getting paid too much. It's like, I don't know what you want me to do, brother. Like you just not getting paid as much as him, so I'm gonna have to let you go. I'm sorry.
See, but I got to do an okie doke on you because I got you defending coaches now. Talk to me about Darvin Ham. I set you up right now. Defend him.
I can't defend that nigga. I really can't. I really can't. Jay, I you know what's crazy? I'm gonna just be honest. That was my last team, right? And that's who I have as a scapegoat. Is a Darvin Ham. Like, dude, I can't defend him. Like, and it's not even a scapegoat. He's the blame. Like, he is the actual blame. Like, don't get me wrong. I think this problem is so big that it's like you can't pinpoint it on one person, but like he has the biggest chunk of the pie. It's like, imagine like
what is it? Come on, let it out, man. What should he be doing that he's not doing,
bro? First of all, it doesn't make any sense to run 3 guard lineups when all 3 of those guards are bad defenders. Okay, like that's the first thing. The second thing, lack of timeout calling. Jay, you know how much I'm a Lakers fan. I mean, I have the Lakers corner page. I do like the lives after every Lakers game, and I cannot tell you how many times I have watched the Lakers give up, like I'm talking like 21 or some points. I mean, the last game we had, the team went on a 21-3 run against us, and Darvin Ham did not call one timeout. Did not call one timeout. Like, do you have to understand how absolutely crazy that is to
time. Quick question. Do you think that LBJ or AD, like, they have the gravitas, the free will, the latitude, the whatever, carte blanche to be able to call a timeout on behalf of, F what the coach say, we just gonna call a timeout right now?
I just don't feel like that's the player's job. Like
maybe not, but how long does it take you to interject and just say, hey, no, I'm commandeering the ship here. We're just gonna call a timeout. Like if it was really a timeout that would have games changing outcome ramifications,
it would.
Then you don't put any accountability on the assistant coaches or the players to just
No, I mean, as far as like I said, I think this is a very big blame, and you cannot pull it fully on Darvin Ham, but he has the biggest chunk of the blame because of the lack of lineups, because of the lack of timeout calls, because of his inability to make changes, because of his inability to take accountability for mistakes and for issues that's happened. I mean, bro, it's been time and time and time again that not only the lack of timeout callings, but it's like it's been proven. It's been proven that this 3-guard lineup does not work, but he keeps running 3-guard lineups. Or back a couple games ago when D'Angelo Russell had it going, and then in crunch time minutes, you put Spencer Dinwiddie in over D'Angelo Russell. You know what I'm saying? Or Jay, we could even get into like some of these substitutions. We picked up Skylar Mays, who we ended up cutting him, and he's on our G League team. Okay, but Skylar Mays was getting minutes before Jalen Hood-Schifino, which was our 17th overall pick. So you mean to tell me you trust more the guy you just picked up on waivers? You're going to give him a chance more than you're going to give Jalen Hood-Schifino a chance? I'm not even saying Jalen Hood-Schifino is the answer, but he's more of an answer than a guy you just picked up and just waived a couple of weeks later. But Skylar Mays was getting more minutes than him. You understand what I'm saying? Like this, the lack of minutes, the everything, Jay. Like I really cannot back him up. Like I really can't back him up. And I tried to for a very long time, but I just can't. I can't do the 3-guard lineup. I can't do the lack of timeouts. I can't do
Okay, I got a question for you.
And he doesn't. He refuses to change that 3-guard lineup and change that drop coverage. Like it's crazy.
I got a question for you. Were you one of those? Where were you on Frank Vogel? Were you one of those that ran him out of town?
I ran him out of town, and here's why. But I ran.
Go ahead. Talk.
Here's why I ran him out of town, and I ran him out of town mainly because it's really Rob and Jeannie's fault. Because so in 2020, so for me to be able to answer this question, I got to dig back to 2020. In 2020, when Frank Vogel was the coach, he was a really good coach for us. You know why? Because he's a defensive-minded coach, and we had defensive-minded players. We had Dwight, we had JaVale, we had Avery Bradley, we had Rondo, we had AD, but we had an Air Force back there. Like I remember seeing interviews where our perimeter players were saying like sometimes like I just let a player go by me, like because if he blows by me, like I don't try to reach and foul because I know Dwight, JaVale, AD gonna clean it up down there. So like that's how great our defense was. Literally we won the championship 2020. Literally the next year, the Lakers front office decided to make a huge change. We don't bring back Dwight, we don't bring back JaVale, end up signing Carmelo Anthony, Trevor Ariza, all these offensive-minded players. And I remember also watching Lakers players talk about interviews, and they're like, yeah, we're trying to go offensively minded. But the issue is Frank Vogel was a defensive minded coach. So in 2020, I loved him because his playing style or his coaching style met our player style. Then 2021, it didn't at all. He was still trying to act like we had defensive-minded players, and he's still trying to put Trevor Ariza and Carmelo Anthony to play big-time defensive minutes, and it's like, yo, like that's not what they're here to do. So it didn't work with Frank Vogel that year, and I just put such a bad taste in my mouth with Frank Vogel after that year. I'm like, bro, you're running dumb lineups. We don't have the same team we did last year, and the issue with Darvin Ham, and I'm going to say this, I'm going to say it on record. Darvin Ham, I've watched a lot of bad Lakers coaches. I've seen Luke Walton. I've seen, bro, just the bad of the bad. Darvin Ham, in my opinion, in my 25 years of watching basketball, is by and far the worst coach I have ever seen coach this Lakers team. He's not even a defensive-minded coach. That's the thing, Jay. He's not anything. Like I think his true spot is an assistant coach in this league. Like he was doing great on the Bucks. Just you could go back, to be honest. That's where I'm at with it, Jay.
So I've known some Laker fans in my day, and they're all quick to pound the coaches. And you're right, it's like this turnstile going back to like Luke Walton and Frank Vogel, and so like, and personally, I just love watching you Laker fans get all animated. And you remind me of like, because I just turned in I had a Warriors card for like 20 plus years, right? This was before it was cool. I just remember the day that Mike Dunleavy got drafted, and my feelings was so hurt. We just missed out on Yao Ming, but anyway, I say all that to say that I used to get so emotional, and like blast the hell out of Steve Kerr. But man, watching you get all animated talking about it, I set you up with that one too. So
that was you set me up perfectly, Jay. You set me up perfectly, man.
The worst by far.
The worst by far, Jay. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at with it, Jay. You got do you I think you already did your last team, or you got one more?
No, I'm good. I'm
You
good.
good, man, brother?
Yeah.
This was a freaking great episode. Great conversation, Jay. I love having these great conversations with you. They're like therapy to me. I ain't gonna lie, Jay. They're like therapy to me. But will you have any last words to say before we skedaddle out of here, brother?
No, man. It was a good show. Looking for things to heat up and get a little bit get more consistent. Get back on the train.
Yes, sir, man. Yes, sir. For the family out there, appreciate you guys staying tuned all the way through, whether you on podcast, whether you on YouTube. We appreciate the love. We appreciate the support. Me and Jay gonna keep pumping out this great content, man. Continue to expect 2 episodes per week. We going crazy. Can continue to be this consistent. And as playoffs kicks in, man, me and Jay, we might like live cracking or some. We're gonna have to get some cracking here, Jay, because yeah, this season is getting into the nitty and gritty where I love it most. But as always, guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. If you're on Apple Podcasts, leave us a nice little ranking, rating, whatever it is. Appreciate you guys. Don't forget to follow our Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. It's at Clutch Talk Pod. And if you want to just get into some good basketball conversation, join our Discord. Link will be in the description. But for now, Jay, I think we good. Jay, we can get up out of here, Jay.
Yep. Sounds good.
Peace, y'all. Peace.